This is the most important election in the history of our country.
It's the most important election of our lifetime.
This election is the most important election in our lifetimes.
I truly believe this is the most important election of our lifetimes.
2008 is the most important election in our lifetime.
This is the most important election of our lifetime.
One of the most important elections we're likely to see for the next 50 years.
This is one of the most important elections in our lifetime. It may be the most important election in our lifetime.
This is the single most important election in our lifetime.
This is the most important election of our lifetime.
This is the most important election in this nation in 50 years.
Are we Americans so truly divided that every 4 years is a fight for the very republic? Somehow, I don't think so. But every presidential election, they all say that signature phrase, "This is the most important election of our lifetime." Why is that? Why is every election pitched as a fight for our country, a fight for the soul of our country? And if every election is pitched for the fight for the soul of our country, I mean, we voted right every single time. It's one of those crazy thought experiments where you sit down and you realize oh man, wow, I can't believe the good guys won every single war. It's I can't believe we voted the president who was going to save our country every single time. And I laugh, but it's just kind of funny when you think about it. And it's really funny that these politicians can get away with using the same old tired line for decades, and to think that we won't realize it. And these political types, these politicians, whether you find their propaganda pleasing or not, they're not interested in a unified populace. They don't want a situation in which people discuss public policy politely over dinner with people with disagreeing views, and they come together to find common grounds and enter into conversations seeking the truth and not to win. They want the excitement. They want the high passions and the emotions, because that's how they think they stay in power. Because if we're constantly at each other's throats, right, yelling at each other for voting for the wrong team, the wrong mega rich elite bastards, and calling each other names, traitor and bigot and communist and all this, if we keep doing that, then we know who our enemy is, and it's certainly not the people wearing the same color tie as us, right, in the House of Congress, in the Senate, the White House. Speaking of propaganda, all of those clips that you saw of the presidents and politicians saying that this is the most important election of our lifetime, broadcast to us by big media. And, well, Mr. Noam Chomsky has something to say about that in his book, Manufacturing Consent. He really explains that the media is not an independent force whose mission is to seek the truth and inform the population of what's really going on and hold people accountable. But in his words, he says, quote, "It is our view that, among their other functions, the media serve and propagandize on behalf of the powerful societal interests that control and finance them. The representatives of these interests have important agendas and principles that they want to advance, and they are well positioned to shape and constrain media policy." So the politicians and the mega corporations and the richest of the rich, They shape the media policy, whether that's through donations or funding, outright buying the media platforms. I mean, say what you want about Donald Trump, and I'm not, this isn't an endorsement or a condemnation, but when he was kicked off of Twitter, he just founded his own media platform. And now, whatever's on Truth Social, that's just a propaganda machine. It's just a propaganda algorithm for Trumpism, or whatever you call MAGAism, or the MAGA movement. And very similar things happened to Twitter and Facebook. It came out recently that the government basically pressured Mark Zuckerberg and what's his name, Jack Dorsey, to censor and control what information people were getting along partisan lines. And we for sure know it happens in the legacy media, right? Everybody knows Fox News is for the conservatives and what NBC is for the liberals. And it's just so funny to think that in this age, in this day and age, where we like to think we're so enlightened and we're so progressive and we're so sophisticated, that there isn't a wider call for all of this sectarian propaganda to be dealt with properly. Why is it that in a debate, a presidential debate, they are focused on tearing each other down and focusing on differences and focusing on riling up emotions and passions of the viewers, instead of coming together to seek the truth and to let the best ideas win? Well, I'll tell you why it doesn't make for good television, right? People won't tune in. Maybe they will. Maybe we're not giving the population enough credit. Maybe people care who their president is. Or maybe if you run this insane news cycle about the presidential debate and fire things up, you get more ad revenue, more viewers on their platform, and people want to art each other's throats a little more, and you might want to, some strange man might want to hide in a bush and point a gun at somebody, right? Some people might want to get on the internet and spew some of the most hatred and vile crap that's ever came out of their mouth or from the tips of their fingers. But hey, got a couple Baileys in ad revenue, right? Got some great content out there. So the politicians and the media are not putting our unity and our social cohesion anywhere close to the top of the priority list, in my opinion, and from what I can tell. They are happy with, it seems like, pitching the White House back and forth every 4 to 8 years, coming out a couple $1 billion ahead each time, selling us on boner pills and selling us on boner pills and antidepressants all the way, all while they're stoking the feelings that cause those negative emotions to begin with, stressing everyone out. So when I have these conversations, I like to at least end it on what can we do, right? So what can we do? We realize that our politicians, even the ones we like, yes, even the ones with whatever letter behind their name we find the most appealing, whether that's a D or an R, even them, yes, even the one you're thinking of right now, if they have any sort of success. What can we do after we've realized that they're not a unifying force? The goal isn't unity. The goal is to keep you hating your neighbors and your fellow countrymen. Well, talk to people. Approach conversations about public policy and social issues in good faith. Approach them trying to learn and to seek the truth rather than trying to win an argument. Don't be prejudiced. And by that I mean don't prejudge the person just because you happen to know which candidate they support. Talk to them. Listen to their ideas. Listen to why they're supporting that person and what led them to that. And try to understand that there's likely a very good reason and there's likely a very emotional reason that they're choosing the candidate they're choosing, because they believe that that candidate will do something good for their life and hopefully for the country. And if you can understand why someone is voting the way that they're voting and what issues they believe are the most pressing issues, and if that person, even if they disagree with you, if that person wants the world to be a better place, and they truly want the world to be a better place, I think their ideas deserve to be listened to at least, and not to be shouted down, shut down, derided, written off with a scoff. They don't need to be called names. If you want your ideas to win, you have to approach things in an inclusive manner. You're not looking to, suplex your opponent and leave them broken and bloodied on the floor. If you truly believe that your ideas are the way for a better country for everybody, then rather than dunking on your opponent, you need to be extending a hand, a loving, caring hand, inviting people to consider things from your point of view. And maybe if we can achieve that level of respect for one another and put up a significant resistance to the propaganda machine, maybe we can do something ourselves to make our country a little bit more livable.